821. Meander. At this moment, Naruto's breath suddenly felt two familiar breaths behind the group of transcenders. It was Habi and Shalulu. Naruto, come and save me. These guys said they want to arrest us to meet the queen. At this time, Habi also saw Naruto and couldn't help crying out for help. Naruto was secretly surprised that he wanted to bring Shalulu out, but he didn't expect her and Habi to be brought out by them. Happy, Shalulu, don't worry, since these guys want to take you to see the queen, then I'll drop by to see her too. Naruto suddenly smiled. Hey, are you going to throw yourself into the net? Someone sneered. Naruto pouted indifferently. A queen who manages the entire world, she should know the whereabouts of the people who have been absorbed. Anyway, now that Wendy is by his side, Natsu has nothing to do with danger. It is still the most important thing to find out everyone's whereabouts. He doesn't have time to pay attention to the following guys. Natsu, go! Naruto shouted at the bottom, and Natsu should be. A long tongue of flame shot up from below and leapt into the upper half of the air. Naruto stretched out his hand and grabbed him. Let's go, I'll go see the queen first. After he finished speaking, he took the lead in waving the wings of the wind behind him and flew out. The other transcenders were stunned for a while before chasing after them. Naruto finally glanced at everyone on the ground and laughed loudly. I will take your captain away first, and when the king comes to see me, I will give her back to you. Ha ha ha. Under the leadership of the Transcenders, Naruto flew into the distant sky, where a huge island was staying. Urza was picked up by Naruto, and she had never been to this island before, so she was full of curiosity at this time. Finally, Naruto landed on the island with a few people, and the Transcenders on the side also landed and retracted their wings. As soon as he entered his eyes, there were all kinds of cute cats of various colors, and Natsu couldn't help but be amazed. It's just that these cats are all looking at themselves and others with a look of disdain and hostility. Habi and Shalulu came to Naruto. Naruto put down Wendy on his back, and Wendy woke up faintly. Come with us to see the queen. The cat who was headed before said coldly. Naruto nodded, glanced at Urza and said, this is the world of transcendence. After I meet the queen, I will settle the account with you. You stay here obediently for me first. As he said that, he stretched out his hand, and a rope transformed by magic power wrapped her whole body, and stuck her on the ground with the weapon in her hand to tie her to it. As the captain of the second unit of the Guards Division, Urza was treated like this, and her heart was full of shame, but this man was too strong, and she found that she couldn't resist at all. No way, I can only do this for now, hoping that the humans on Earth can find a way to defeat him. Otherwise, there is really no way to fight against him, and the plan will be difficult to implement. Elsa glanced slightly at the distant horizon, the huge magic crystal on the other island, and was secretly worried. At this moment, Naruto seemed to turn his head, and he saw the magic crystal on the huge island at the same height as this island at a glance, and he couldn't help but be shocked. What's there? Naruto asked the transcender beside him. Then, what's there? You guys should go to see the queen with us first. They are all dying, so why are you asking so many questions? The cat was slightly startled, and then yelled in a panic. In fact, although they are transcendents, they are not very clear about the activities of human beings. This huge magic crystal appeared suddenly. What is the reason? It is estimated that only the queen and the elders know. Naruto narrowed his eyes. He already had a guess in his heart. Okay, I'll go meet the queen with you first. Naruto nodded and followed a group of cats towards the front. Along the way, the surrounding is like a market of human beings. It looks very peaceful and prosperous. The transcenders who live here seem very happy and leisurely, but when they see humans like Naruto, their faces are full of expressions, showing a look of contempt. A group of cats with no lethality at all actually call them angels by the next human beings, and no one dares to resist, treating them like gods, which is a very strange thing in itself. If it is said that all this is because of the queen's ability to control the life and death of human beings, Naruto will never believe it. At this time, his perception has been spread out, and there is no strong aura around him at all, and occasionally there are surpassers with strong magic power, but it is only relative. Generally speaking, the transcenders in this place are generally guys with little strength like Harpy. Wendy took Naruto's hand, told Naruto how she was caught by Urza, and then looked at Shalulu. Shalulu kept her head down with a look of guilt. She knew that if the information in her mind had not misled her, Wendy would never have been in danger. Now, she really doubts herself. Whether it is a spy or not, it is really doing all these things because of the mission of the Transcendence. Shalulu, I believe you will hurt me. There must be a reason for that. If you don't understand now, don't think about it. We'll know the truth when we meet the Queen. Wendy stepped forward and told Shalulu. Said with a smile. Shalulu was very moved when she heard this, and she couldn't help crying immediately. The palace where the Queen lives is more gorgeous than the palace in the human world, but when Naruto was going to see the Queen directly, the cat leading the way suddenly said that they should wait in the room first, and then the cat would take them into a large spacious room. Naruto is not in a hurry for the time being, since he has already seen the Queen soon, it doesn't matter to wait for a while. However, after the Transcenders left, they secretly went to the Queen and reported to her about Naruto and the others. In the room, the three of Naruto were discussing things in this world. Brother Naruto, we will meet the Queen of Shalulu's hometown later. I hope she can give us a fair decision. Wendy said with a hopeful look. Hey, who cares about him? I'll just ask him about everyone's whereabouts. If you don't want to, force him directly, ha ha ha. Natsu laughed. In another secret room, several senior officials and elders were listening to the report of the person coming. When they heard about Naruto's powerful strength, their faces showed solemn expressions. The Queen and the elders all know what kind of race they are. Now that a powerful human being like Naruto is here, they should be vigilant no matter what. Therefore, after the reporter left, the elders discussed how to deal with a strong man like Naruto and how to hold the scene, which became the focus of their next discussion. The Queen listened to the elders' conversation and sighed deeply. How long can such lies continue? 822. Holy Spear. Naruto waited for a long time, and finally a transcender came to send a message, telling the Queen that she was waiting in the hall. In the hall. It is magnificent and looks like a palace of a god. However, sitting on a large chair in front of the hall was a cat, which was white like Shalulu, and looked alike. When Shalulu saw the Queen, she couldn't help but froze for a moment. She and the Queen looked at each other, and there was a hint of surprise in the Queen's eyes. Beside the Queen, stood several old men, some old cats. When the three of Naruto, Harpy and Shalulu walked in, the rows of transcender guards around the hall all stared at them. Originally, if humans wanted to see the Queen, they had to remove all the props on their bodies. This was respect for God, but Naruto and the others didn't need this. Their magic itself didn't need to rely on props to play. Therefore, at this time, although the Queen and the elders looked majestic on the surface, they were also very nervous. After all, the person in front of you has magical powers like everyone else. This magic power will be the biggest threat to his family. Humans, don't you kneel down when you see Her Majesty the Queen. When the three of Naruto came to the Queen, a cat beside them scolded fiercely. The three Naruto were stunned, glanced at him, and couldn't help but smile. Now that he is in close contact, he has already sensed the level of magic power on these cats. I heard that the Queen has the ability to control the life and death of human beings, which has to make Naruto doubt whether it is true or not. If you want to erase the existence of a person, you must first have enough power in the master, but the power in the Queen is pitiful. However, Naruto did not carelessly underestimate the enemy. There are people outside the world. Maybe the Queen's ability is really very powerful. At this time, in the face of the Transcendence reprimand, Naruto said neither humble nor arrogant. Your Majesty, I just want to have a good talk with you about the behavior of the human beings under your jurisdiction. Bold, don't mere humans kneel yet. Seeing that Naruto didn't kneel to greet him, the Transcendent spoke directly to Her Majesty the Queen, and immediately scolded him angrily. Naruto frowned and glanced at the guy. The cat was immediately taken aback by Naruto's sharp eyes, and he was startled, and he couldn't help but take a step back. "Okay, naughty, get back first," the queen said to the cat. Then, she spoke slowly again and looked at Naruto. "Tell me first, what is it?" Naruto couldn't help but be stunned. Doesn't this queen even know the purpose of her coming here? "It's about the creation of a soul, by the king of Edris and the whole city of Eslander being absorbed in our world. Isn't this your order?" "What?" Both the queen and the elders were shocked. The queen shook her head and frowned. "I didn't give such an order." Naruto was even more puzzled. The queen did not admit that she had given such an order. Is this a lie or is it just a human opinion? He seemed to smell the conspiracy, staring at the queen with a sharp expression, trying to see something in her eyes. At this time, an elder next to her suddenly said, "Human, although this thing you said was not an order from us, but we have also heard about it, it is just those people who want to maintain the whole country. The problem of Izumi, the source of magic power, this is a good thing for the whole continent." "Ha ha, it's a joke, of course it's a good thing for you, you can get endless magic power, but do you know how that magic power comes from? Those are all our Eslanders." Naruto hearing this, he couldn't help laughing, and he said angrily, "I didn't expect the queen to be just a selfish fellow. She actually supports the humans under her jurisdiction to plunder the lives of other worlds." "Shut up, you human. How dare you disrespect the queen? Do you want to be punished by God?" the elder scolded angrily. "Humph." Naruto hummed angrily, and at the same time, a strong magical aura suddenly emerged from his body, and for a moment, the entire surrounding palace was trembling. "What's wrong? Earth, is there an earthquake?" Everyone around couldn't help but panic. The next moment, Naruto stopped exposing his aura. Only then did the queen and the elders realize that Naruto's powerful power was simply not something that ordinary people could compare to. For a while, everyone froze there. At this moment, an angry cry suddenly came from outside the hall. "Uzumaki Naruto, die!" Boom! A strong energy whirlwind swept over, and immediately enveloped Naruto's position. Holy Gun Ray Brute! At the door of the main hall, Elsa flew up to Naruto's head with a spear in her hand, and stabbed him in the head with a shot. Naruto was slightly startled, turned his head and raised his arm sharply. The tip of the holy spear just stabbed his wrist. Sizzle! However, the holy spear, which contains powerful magic, cannot even pierce the skin on Naruto's wrist. Instead, a large spark emerges from the intersection of the two. Urza was shocked. She didn't think that she could use the most powerful holy spear and couldn't get him. What is his body made of? Immediately afterwards, Urza's hand sank involuntarily, and when she came to her senses, she found that her holy spear was actually in his hand. Can't move. Then, her eyes met Naruto's disdainful eyes, and her heart sank, followed by an unprecedented fear. I didn't expect you to break free from my magic rope. This is one of your skills, but if you don't escape back, what are you trying to do here to find me? It's really beyond your own power. After he finished speaking, he pulled his arm back sharply, and Naruto pulled Urza's holy spear along with her body. Then, there was only a muffled sound, and Urza's body seemed to be broken. It flew backwards like a stringed kite. 823. Power Shocks. All the Transcenders in the palace were dumbfounded. Urza suddenly appeared with a powerful force, but was blocked by Naruto with his bare hands. The power was strong enough to destroy the palace. He couldn't even pierce his skin. Moreover, they didn't even see how Urza flew out backwards. Powerful defense. Unparalleled shot speed. This is simply invincible existence. The queen and the others couldn't help but feel a great fear in their hearts. At this moment, Naruto stood proudly. His incomparably powerful strength and upright figure left an indelible impression in the hearts of everyone. It's like a god of war invincible. The captain of the second unit of the Guards Corps, Urza, is one of the best in the kingdom, but she didn't expect to be killed by Naruto. Queen Shagart and the elders all stayed where they were, without words. In the face of absolute strength, everything seemed so pale. Okay, the annoying guy can't make trouble for the time being. Naruto just did a trivial thing, clapped his hands, looked back at the queen and others, and said, "Since you don't know the actions of humans, then here's a question for you, I think you should know it." "Please, please say." The elder was so frightened that he couldn't sit still, and said tremblingly, "What is the origin of the huge magic crystal on the island in front?" Naruto stretched his finger to the outside of the hall, where it was parallel to the island here. Everyone was stunned, and the queen suddenly sighed. "That only appeared yesterday. I think it should be the power transformed by the people of your world. Human beings, go and rescue your partner." Naruto smiled lightly, and as he expected, the huge magic crystal was the people of Iceland. "Great, now that everyone's existence has been found, all you need to do next is to use your own magic to restore everyone." "Your Majesty," the surrounding transcendents exclaimed in unison when they saw that she had actually compromised with Naruto. "No, that's Izumi, our inexhaustible magic power. We mustn't let this guy succeed." At this moment, Urza suddenly stood up with difficulty and walked to Naruto step by step, holding a spear in her hand. The armor on his body has been destroyed by Naruto in the punch just now, and at this time, the light inside is full of light. "Elsa, I admire your courage and perseverance without fear of death, but you never thought about depriving others of life to fulfill yourself. Will this only escalate the conflict between the two worlds? Or are you trying to stir up trouble? A war between two worlds?" Naruto sneered. "If you really want this, then I'll just destroy your country." Cold sweat broke out on Urza's forehead. The guy in front of him is really too powerful, and the things he said about destroying the country are by no means a joke. With such a powerful force as him, what else could he not do? However, I am not reconciled. As the captain of the guards division, facing a powerful enemy but unable to do anything, this is so powerless. I will definitely stop you. This country will not allow you to destroy," Urza said, biting Kiba and gnashing her teeth. Seeing her look like she was dying and dedicated herself to the country, Naruto suddenly burst out laughing. "It's ridiculous. I thought you were the same as Urza of Iceland, but after all, you are not the same person. Compared with her, you are really bad." Naruto laughed angrily. "Don't let me destroy your country. But do you know that the country and people your soul is destroying is slaughtering our partners? The people on this continent are all selfish guys." Naruto was extremely disappointed. Lucy in this world fled, and Urza was not as reasonable as the original one. With a big wave of his hand, he said to Natsu and Wendy, "Let's go and rescue them quickly." "No," Urza shouted loudly. She moved to Naruto with difficulty step by step, and opened her hands to block Naruto. "I can't help myself," Naruto snorted coldly. Now that the words are so clear, these guys still don't know how to repent. Seeing his Aslan's life, this made a strong anger in his heart. "If that's the case, then you and this continent will be destroyed together." A violent white light emerged from Naruto's palm. However, just as he was about to use this against Urza, a huge roar suddenly came from below. The whole air trembled for a while. "What's wrong?" Everyone was surprised. At this moment, Urza's mouth showed a smile. "The plan has finally succeeded." She laughed and said, "The dragon lock cannon has been activated. The continent on the opposite side will completely collide with this place. At that time, the magic crystal will explode and restore to the countless infinitesimals in the world. Elements of magic, these will be the source of our magic, Izumi, that can supply our entire country for a long time." Dragon lock cannon. Naruto flashed and came to the outside of the hall. Looking around, he saw the huge island in the sky in front of him moving fast here. This is... At this time, everyone followed, and they were all surprised to see such a scene. The dragon lock cannon has been launched, and this continent is about to disappear. This is our king's plan. Urza walked out. "It's so bold. Are you humans trying to rebel? The queen and the elders also flew out. They saw the huge floating island that was coming quickly, and their faces showed fear. Urza ignored the roars of several elders. She smiled lightly. Everything is for the human kingdom, even if it is something like blasphemy. I believe that it will be drowned in the trend of history. At that time, everyone will be while enjoying an endless stream of magical resources. All that I remember is the merits of the country. God will come out on the stage. Quote. It's really good to think. Urza, is all of this your king's plan? I see, so I can not only destroy the transcendence that has been on my head for a long time, but also make the magic crystals. The magic power is spread into the surrounding air and becomes the source of everyone's strength. Stop being delusional. With me here, I will never let you succeed. Naruto stepped forward and rushed to the edge of the island with Wendy and Natsu. Everyone on this island is the people and partners of our island, and I will never let you get involved. 824. Stop. It's too late. The Dragon Lock Cannon has been launched. The island will soon hit. No matter what you do, you can't change this established fact. Urza's face was a little complicated. It seems that you really want to start a war with our continent of island. Naruto said angrily. Have you thought about the war across plains? What he said was right. If this kind of thing really happened, the people who disappeared from the Iceland continent would definitely be known by the people there, and it would cause a sensation at that time, and everything that the world of Edris did would also will be found out. In this way, the plain war will definitely start. Naruto is also a person who has come from war, and he also has an instinctive dislike for war. Plainer war. Urza finally showed a thoughtful look on her face when she heard the words, and she seemed to realize the seriousness of this matter. However, as if she had thought of something, her complicated expression flashed by, and then she became decisive. If you don't do this, the magic of this world will be exhausted. I don't want to see this situation even more. And, even if I die, Urza has already made a contribution to this country. I will die without regrets. Urza said with the spear in her hand raised. Although she is very attractive and heroic in this way, people have the urge to worship, but Naruto thinks that she is so stubborn, like a nail in his heart, it is unbearable. I can't help but kill you, Naruto said to her coldly. People who stand on both sides of the interests have nothing in common, and a negotiated dialogue like this is almost useless. But now, Naruto must stop this from happening. He glanced at everyone and said to Wendy and Natsu, you stay here, I will stop the movement of that island now. What? Big brother Naruto, do you want to go alone? Wendy couldn't help pulling him and shouting. Well, only I can stop that. A confident smile appeared on Naruto's face. Although the island is huge, Naruto has a way to stop it. With his current strength, it is not impossible. However, Urza was surprised by what Naruto said, and her forehead sweated slightly. What did you say? Are you going to stop our Dragon Lock Cannon? That's impossible. It's just you alone. What are you talking about? Naruto just smiled at her with a mocking arc at the corner of his mouth. Elsa suddenly had a bad premonition. Looking at the man's back, she suddenly felt that it was a very wrong decision to go against him. Call. The next moment, Naruto's wings of wind grew from behind him and flew into the sky in the distance, facing the floating island. Is he really going to stop that island by himself? How is this possible? At this time, it was not only Urza who thought so, but also the queen and other transcenders. However, at the same time, the queen and the others also felt an inexplicable emotion in their hearts. Naruto's approach is not only saving his own friends, but also saving his own transcendence. We can't let him fight alone. We have to protect our own home. The queen suddenly ordered. Everyone goes over. Help that human being. Faced with a racial crisis, the queen made a decisive call. But, Your Majesty, as long as you use your divine power for things like that, you don't have to be afraid. Yes, we are a race higher than humans, we are angels, and Your Majesty is a god. This kind of thing is easy to do, right? Yes, we have to deal with this human woman first. The guy who dares to betray the Transcendence must be sentenced to death. The surrounding group of Transcenders who worship Her Majesty the Queen's divine power have made such confident words. This caused a wry smile on the faces of several Transcenders who knew everything, including the Queen and the Elders. In order to allow the race to survive and not to be bullied by powerful humans, the Elders relied on the Queen's predictive ability to concoct such a lie, which not only deceived the human beings, but also deceived the Transcendents themselves. Now, a huge crisis is coming, but all the lies seem so powerless. Naruto flew to the island, and saw a thick golden chain embedded in the bottom of the floating island under the island, and then extended all the way to the human kingdom below. It turns out that this thing is controlling the movement of the island. That's much easier. Naruto's whole body burst out with a powerful magical arrogance, and a white ball of light appeared in his hands. The soft white light spreads out, with a special power. Immediately afterwards, Naruto raised his hands slightly and aimed the white light ball in his palm at the huge chain. The art of Jinten particle style. The next moment, an extremely fast white light beam flew out from Naruto's palm. A long trail was dragged in the air. In an instant, the chain of the dragon lock cannon was hit by white wide. Immediately afterwards, the island shook slightly, and the chain of the dragon lock cannon, which was strong enough to drag the entire floating island, was completely useless. In front of Jinten particle style, the hit part is completely destroyed. Into a molecular state. What? At this moment, not only Urza on the island behind Naruto showed a shocked expression, but even the king and others who fired the dragon lock cannon in the kingdom below were all shocked. With the sturdiness of the dragon lock cannon, it is enough to resist any magical attack, but I didn't expect it to be destroyed so easily by that man. It's terrifying. Dragon lock cannon was actually destroyed. How is this possible? I don't believe it. Never believe it. Urza kept mumbling to herself. However, she saw a glimmer of hope in her eyes. Because, the island is still moving. The dragon lock cannon had pulled the island to this side before, and now it is still moving towards this side at a high speed under the huge inertia. 825. Unlimited modeling. The island is about to hit. Natsu exclaimed. At this speed, the two islands will collide no matter what. Even if there is no chain push from below, it will not change the outcome. At this moment, Naruto rushed to the front of the island and stopped at the edge of the island. Then, he stretched out his hands and held down the island. What is this guy going to do? Does he want to stop the progress of the island by himself? Well, is that too messy? The kingdom's army on the ground was shocked when they saw Naruto's actions. After all, it is absolutely earth-shattering to want to achieve this level with one's own strength. Who is this guy? HMPH. That kind of thing is absolutely impossible. In the kingdom, an old man stood in the crowd and looked at Naruto in the sky with a sneer. Your Majesty, I think we should stop him. This guy feels too dangerous. Someone suggested. Okay, all the other 3 monster knights of your troops go up. Stop him. The old man with long gray-white hair, that is, His Majesty the King said coldly. Trying to fight a country is a joke. Although he broke the chain of the dragon lock cannon, it is absolutely a dream to stop the progress of the entire floating island. However, Naruto's hands were already on the whole island, his strong arms stretched out, a lot of magic power came out of his body, and a strong light flashed from his body. Drink. A light drink came out of his mouth. There was a bang in the air, and the strong magic squeezed the air to twist. The entire floating island and Naruto's arm were only seen, and a powerful air wave burst out, spreading violently to the surrounding air. The air continued to make bursts of roars, as if it was a wailing that was squeezed by this magic power. What a powerful magic! Is he actually emitting power without any props? Is this the magician of Iceland? The corner of the king's eyes twitched, and he sensed an ominous premonition from this strong magical aura. At this time, countless kingdom troops rode flying beasts into the sky, rushing towards Naruto like a frenzy. Naruto frowned slightly. He was trying his best to stop the advance of the floating island. Are these guys going to rush over to stop him? Beyond your own power. Naruto opened his mouth with disdain. He stretched out a hand, palm facing outwards, and a magic circle suddenly appeared in the palm. The magic circle emits a dazzling blue light. Then, that guy, what moves are you going to use? Everyone who had just rushed up stopped involuntarily, and stopped in place to make a defensive posture. You idiots, give it to me. The captains of the troops roared angrily. It was only then that everyone realized that they had been frightened by his aura before, and at this moment, when they heard the orders of the captains, they rushed forward with roars. But it's too late. Swish swish. I saw that the magic circle in Naruto's palm suddenly expanded to a diameter of tens of meters. In the next instant, countless and various ice swords, spears, and other weapons flew out. It was like raindrops pouring down on everyone. Ice shape magic unlimited shapes. Almost tens of thousands of ice weapons were shot out, and the dense raindrops fell on the soldiers riding on the beasts. The sky has almost become a field of ice weapons. Everyone stopped in front of this piece of ice weapon. The whole body was shocked by the surging cold air and sharp killing intent. Can't move. Trembling all over. Even the beasts let out bursts of wailing. This is the shock of absolute power. The next moment, the screams start. The soldiers in the sky were hit by this overwhelming ice weapon. Some directly penetrated the body, some raised the armor to protect, but were smashed back by this powerful force and fell directly to the ground on life and death do not know. After a few minutes, there were very few troops in the sky, and only the 3 captains and a few tenacious soldiers remained in the air. But they were all scarred and looked at Naruto with fearful eyes. After Naruto made a magic move, the magical momentum on his body was also stunned, because this move is not so simple. Infinite shape. In theory, as long as he has infinite magic power, he can continuously create numbers. Hundreds of thousands of weapons, but Naruto is not a person with infinite magic power after all. This move also used almost 1/10 of his magic power. Of course, it didn't cost him much. But the strength to stop the island's movement couldn't help being a little less. At this moment, a dense mass of cats suddenly appeared behind Naruto, and they all spread their wings and flew towards the island. At the same time, Natsu and Wendy also rushed to Naruto under the leadership of Hubby and Shalulu, and stopped between the 3 captains and Naruto. Leave those guys to us. Big brother Naruto, Wendy said. Natsu's fist burst into flames, fighting spirit high. We should do something too. The 2 flew to the 3 commanders. Queen Shagart flew to the edge of the island with many transcenders, and they suddenly supported the edge of the island with their small bodies. Naruto, who saw this scene, couldn't help but look at them with admiration. Unexpectedly, these transcendents rushed out bravely to protect their homeland. I didn't expect you all to come, Naruto said, looking at Queen Shagart beside him. He frowned, seeing that there was actually only one wing behind the queen. I have explained everything to everyone. We are just a weak race, and everything is just lying around my ability to predict, the queen said with a lonely expression. After a pause, she thanked Naruto again and said, Humans, thank you for helping us stop in front of us. Now please allow us to work side by side with you. Fight against powerful enemies. Naruto laughed silently. Although he hasn't figured out what's going on, it seems that the Transcenders have now become his companions. The only thing to do is to resist the kingdom army of this world together. In that case, it's time for this boring farce to end. Mind-blowing thought. P.S. The Coon Sheep account in the introduction and works related before has been edited and deleted. Now many readers can't find the group. I will post it here as 734,426,538. Please bubble into the group. I'm the owner of the group. You can ask me any questions. 826. Plan. Naruto's voice fell, and he saw a violent magical aura suddenly emerge from behind him, and the magical aura was so strong that a violent gust of wind was set off. Wherever the gust of wind passed, the air current Uzumaki rolled up in midair. In the incomparably violent breath, the wings of the wind behind Naruto suddenly swelled several times. Formed a pair of gusty wings that are dozens of meters in size. These wings are like the airflow ejected by a jet plane, exerting a huge reverse thrust on Naruto with an extremely violent attitude. The reverse thrust acted on the entire island, and the speed suddenly slowed down. The island seems to be coming to a stop. Naruto's movement made everyone look sideways. When all the Transcenders pushed back the island in the air together, coupled with Naruto's incomparable strength, the island finally starts slowing down a little bit. Efficient. It really works. I didn't expect it to happen. Naruto did it, the Transcenders did it. The island successfully started to slow down. After a while, with the joint efforts of both parties, the island soon stopped in midair. Success. The queen murmured in disbelief. Yeah, this island was really stopped. Our homeland was saved. The Transcenders were ecstatic. They witnessed the stop of the island with their own eyes and participated in the protection of the homeland. At this time, this wish has been realized, and everyone has an unprecedented sense of achievement in their hearts. Of course, it's all thanks to Naruto. It was he who led everyone to resist. It is he who has used his infinite power to help everyone. Thank you very much for your help to our family. The queen bowed deeply to Naruto and thanked him. Naruto smiled lightly, he withdrew his strength and looked in another direction. At this time, Natsu and Wendy were in a battle with the three commanders. The two sides were in a fierce battle, and no one could do anything about the other. Naruto suddenly shouted, "Your plan is over. Why don't you go back now?" The three commanders bit Kiba. They also watched Naruto and the Transcenders stop the movement of the island with their own eyes, and were deeply in awe of his power. Moreover, this time, the actions of these human beings were not a good idea for the Transcenders. It is the betrayal of eating guago, and I will definitely be revenged by these Transcendents in the future. The king on the ground waved his hand, signaling everyone to retreat temporarily. The three commanders went back in despair. However, Urza is still on the island, and she is now surrounded by Transcenders, with nowhere to run. She didn't expect that this man would really stop the movement of the island, and she didn't expect that the Transcenders would make such a unanimous determination. This time, they miscalculated. Moreover, one miscalculation has caused the human camp to fall into endless trouble. Not only to face the revenge of Naruto, but also to face the revenge of the Transcenders. Under the double attack, the survival of the human kingdom is worrying. Urza felt that she had to do something to save her. However, facing the hostile eyes of a group of Transcenders, she felt that she had nothing to do. At this time, Naruto flew to the huge magic crystal, stretched out his hand and pressed on these magic crystals to sense it. The power of the people of Iceland is flowing in these magic crystals. If you want to restore them, even with your own magic power, it seems to be a little difficult. Because these magic crystals contain the power of the people of the entire city, it is really too big. Moreover, Naruto suddenly discovered another problem. That is, how do these people return to the world of Iceland now? Came here through the soul, so if you want to go back, you should also borrow the power of the soul, right? However, I don't know anything about this stuff. If only Mistgun was here. Naruto thought about it, and couldn't help but feel a little troubled. Suddenly, a monster flew from the sky not far away, and a man in a cape stood on the back of the monster. He came quickly to where Naruto was and landed, holding a long wand in his hand. Mistgun, Naruto shouted. Naruto, it looks like you are doing well here. Mistgun said, I have already gone to Fairy Tail in this world and distributed the medicines to everyone, and they are rushing to the outside of the kingdom here. Quote. So, everyone can use magic. Naruto was slightly overjoyed. Mistgang nodded, and suddenly said solemnly, I am here, and let everyone have magic power. In fact, there is one thing I want to ask everyone. A puzzled look appeared on Naruto's face. Compared to you, you are also very strange about my identity. I look exactly the same as Gerard of Esland. In fact, I am Gerard of Edris. Mistgun released. There was a startling message. The real son of the king of this world. What? So, you are the Prince of Edris. Naruto, who heard the news, couldn't help but startled. No wonder, this guy Mistgang looks exactly the same as Gerald, and he has all kinds of magic props hanging behind him all the year round, because he is a person from Edris and only uses props to activate magic. It's amazing. S-rank mage on the continent of Esland. Naruto also had to admire him. I'm sorry that I kept hiding it from everyone before. I just felt that I didn't want everyone to be involved in this matter until I found out the specifics of the soul. I didn't expect that the power of the soul would spread to the whole city this time. Kinghi, it's going too far. Mistgang bit Kiba. It doesn't matter, we are not your problem. Naruto smiled lightly. Then, now tell us how you want us to help you. As a part of fairy tale, I can help you. It would be great to have you say that. Mistgang's face showed joy, and then he said to Naruto with a solemn look on his face, I have already told others about this plan. Now what we need is your power to join in to make a huge change in this country. Quote. A huge change. Naruto's heart moved slightly. Yes, please help me defeat the king, control the power of the soul, and cut off all communication between the two worlds. 827. Change. Initiating change. Naruto couldn't help but stunned when he heard the words. He didn't expect Mistgang to have such a desire. That's right. As the original prince of this world, he must not want the human beings in this world to be in the king's hands. Perish under wrong leadership. If this continues, the human race in this world will be wiped out sooner or later. Blindly arrogant and ignorant of the heights and heights of the king, he only pursues immediate interests, but he is completely unaware that once the magicians of the two worlds fight, it will be a contradiction between the planes. That would be enough to destroy any country. And Mistgang also deeply realizes that the power of the magicians on the continent of Iceland is far beyond the existence of magicians in this world. At that time, the human beings in this world will be completely defeated. Therefore, rather than having an external war, it is better to fix the internal first and carry out reforms. All he has to do is let the king step down. Ban him. But now the people in the country have been bewitched by the king, and their respect and love for the king has risen to the level of faith. If they rashly launch reforms without the support of the people, it will be futile. Mistgang. Now I have a plan. If it is implemented smoothly, your reform may be successful. Naruto said suddenly. Your plan? Yes, you are the Prince of Edris. If you are allowed to appear in front of the public in this capacity, wouldn't it be easier for people to accept it? But you also know that you haven't come back for a long time, and the people here will definitely not be able to accept you right away, but if there is another way, it may be easy. Naruto smiled mysteriously. We can be a villain for you once and destroy the king of this world. Then, you will beat us again. It is logical to become the savior of this world. In this way, the centripetal force of the people will move towards you. On the ground, Naruto, Natsu, Wendy, and Mistgang were waiting silently outside the city. Urza followed behind with her hands tied behind her back. Are you really planning to rebel? Urza said with a worried look. Yes, this world needs to change. Mistgang nodded. Captain Urza, as the captain of the second unit of the Kingdom's Guards Division, you should hate us now, right? Urza bit Kiba. I am the Prince of Edris. Even though I left this world a few years ago, I still can't let go of everything in this world. Seeing the king of this world do such a stupid thing, I have to come forward to stop it. If you're still a little sensible, please help me. Mistgun said. His Royal Highness, you are right, maybe it is as you said, this country will face a huge crisis, but, without the magic power, the people here will fall into endless fear, and the world will fall into chaos. I don't want to see such a scene. I just hope that everything is safe and stable now. Urza said firmly. I have my perseverance, but this time, it seems that I can't make a move. How stupid. Hearing Urza's speech, Naruto couldn't help muttering beside him, it's unreasonable for a woman with a brainless brain. Urza couldn't help but get furious, but she calmed down again and suddenly said, if you do as you say, the world will become more peaceful and stable, Urza will admit it. Wrong. And wholeheartedly assist His Royal Highness. Since you said that, then wait and see. Naruto smiled and looked at Misty Gun. Natsu, Wendy, according to the plan, when the two of you meet up with the fairy tale people here, I will deal with the king alone. When all their power is drawn, I will attack them again. Destroy them in one fell swoop. The armed forces, Naruto commanded to the two of them. Yes. Wendy and Natsu nodded when they heard the words and left. Urza's expression changed when she heard it. This guy's battle plan is to completely wipe out the entire kingdom's army. Under such circumstances, the victory rate of the kingdom's army was worrying. In the city, there were bursts of roars, and a large army of troops gathered here near the palace. The leaders of the three major armies are staring at the figure standing in the circle surrounded by everyone. It's Naruto. He appeared here alone, attracting all the firepower at once. However, as the commander of the three major troops, almost no one can make a move under him. Hughes, Lily, Hugeboy, the three were already scarred at this time. If it wasn't for Naruto's thought that they were just obeying the king, they would have been destroyed long ago. Moreover, since he wants to help Mistgang, he has to help to the end. These people are extremely good leaders, and they can also be turned into his capable subordinates in the future. So, Naruto didn't kill them all. And the surrounding soldiers of the royal army can hardly get close to Naruto. His strength is too strong, and the number of people can't make up for this gap. Just at this moment, Natsu and the others finally led the crowd in, and launched a series of attacks on the royal army. Suddenly there was mourning all around, and Naruto saw Natsu and the others rushing forward, and Urza of Island and the others, and behind them, even the members of Fairy Tale of this world came. When Lucy of Edris saw Naruto, she smiled apologetically, seemingly regretting that she had left quietly before. Naruto couldn't help showing a bright smile when she saw it. She was able to come back here, which was enough to show that her heart was not really selfish and timid. Lucy here is also kind and lovely. He nodded at her and smiled. Seeing that he seemed to have forgiven herself, Lucy finally let out a long sigh of relief, became more energetic, and rushed forward. Soon, the kingdom's army collapsed under the swift and violent offensive of the crowd. The only one who has not yet appeared is His Majesty the King. However, with everyone's crazy offensive, Naruto and the others have already rushed into the palace, directly to the center of the palace. Because according to Mistgun, the power of the soul is there. Once you get there, there is hope for everyone to go back. 828. Destruction. Although there are not many people, Naruto's offensive is simply unstoppable. Even if the kingdom's army had an overwhelming advantage in numbers, Naruto and the others could still easily deal with it. Soon, the palace position is about to fall. The three commanders of the kingdom's army were physically weak, and their defenses gradually became weaker and weaker. Natsu's firepower is ferocious, and there is a heat wave everywhere he passes. Moreover, with the assistance of Wendy, the strength of the two of them has been increased exponentially, and there is almost no enemy under one another. The kingdom's army in front of them is simply a joke. At this moment, there was a sudden strong tremor on the ground. What is that? Natsu exclaimed, pointing to the huge object that slammed out of the ground in front of him. This is a dragon knight. Mistgang couldn't help frowning upon seeing this. This is the ultimate weapon of the country. Whether it is defensive or offensive, it is not an existence that ordinary magicians can compare to. Dragon Knight. Naruto stared at the behemoth. No matter how you look at it, it feels like it's just a robot. And seeing this huge enemy appear, Natsu is full of fighting spirit. I'm going to deal with that big guy. You guys continue to rush into the palace. He roared, and his figure rushed over quickly. However, as soon as Natsu rushed up, he was suddenly beaten back by the Dragon Knight with a loud bang. Boom! Natsu's body fell beside Naruto, covered in injuries, blood spilled from the corners of his mouth, bit Kiba and muttered, "It's really strong." As soon as he rushed up, he launched an attack on the Dragon Knight, but it had no effect. Instead, he was bombarded back with a single blow. "Let me go." You and Mistgang rushed to the palace. "It's more suitable to leave this big guy to me." Naruto stepped forward and stopped in front of Natsu, and said lightly. Although Natsu was very unwilling, he could only obey Naruto's arrangement first. After all, only he is the strongest here. Dragon Knight, the country's ultimate weapon, but compared to the real dragon, it's far behind. Naruto said with a sneer, standing in front of the Dragon Knight. The king who was controlling the Dragon Knight felt a chill in his heart for some reason. Even with such a powerful magical weapon as the Dragon Knight, he still felt a chill down his spine. This guy, the coercion he brings is too strong. Simply terrifying. At this time, Elsa watched her country collapse in front of these people. She couldn't believe it. Although the strength of the three captains is strong, everyone here has a strength that can match them. She knows that if Naruto had not shown mercy, I am afraid that these colleagues would have been wiped out long ago. It seems that the country is really coming to an end, Urza murmured with her head lowered. At this time, she could only watch helplessly. The only hope is the king's Dragon Knight, right? But just when she was thinking like this, on the battlefield in front, there was a sudden burst of violent explosions from the huge Dragon Knight. I saw a faint golden shadow surrounding the Dragon Knight's body at a rapid speed, bringing with it a violent whirlwind of energy. Immediately afterwards, the Dragon Knight's legs and hands exploded one after another. In an instant, the Dragon Knight was left with only one body left in place. How can it be? Dragon Knights can defend against any magic and attack. It also has the power to destroy everything. Actually, was it solved so easily? Elsa's eyes were full of disbelief. At this time, an ice sword with a length of hundreds of meters and a width of tens of meters fell from the sky. With a cold aura, the whole body is surrounded by ice mist, and it slams into the top of the Dragon Knight's head, penetrating his entire body. And deep into the ground. Boom! The explosion sounded, the flames spread, the huge ice sword and the Dragon Knight disappeared together. Urza sat on the ground slumped, and muttered to herself, it's over, the whole country is really going to be subverted by them. Naruto stood in place, and he was unharmed. Although the Dragon Knight's defense and attack power are very strong, it is still much worse than the real dragon. Naruto's attack is an existence that even a dragon can't resist, a mere dragon. A knight is not in his eyes at all. Destroying it is just a thought. The king was lying on the ground, dying. Naruto walked over slowly and put his foot on him. From now on, the time when this country is yours is over, he said. The king spat out a mouthful of blood and finally fainted. Naruto pouted and smiled lightly. At this time, everyone also entered the palace, and Naruto picked up the king on the ground, dodged and moved towards Mistgun and the others. In the wide hall, Mistgang, Natsu, Wendy, the captured Urza, the three commanders, and those from Fairy Tail were all gathered here. Urza of Island saw the captured Urza of Edris with a strange and complicated expression. This is the soul. Naruto could not help asking when he saw an abnormal gray energy surging in the center of the hall after he came here. Mistgang nodded. My father used this power to break through the barriers between the two worlds and absorb the life of the Iceland continent. He glanced at the king who was thrown at his feet by Naruto, his expression calmly. Although the king is his father, he has no feelings for him, not to mention his actions are unforgivable. Now, as the prince of this country, the only thing he can do is to change this country, for the sake of this country. People seeking a better life. Therefore, he must now make a choice. Mistgang turned to look at everyone. I will use the power of my soul to lose all the magic of this world to the world of Iceland. From now on, this world will no longer have magic power. What? Everyone in Edris couldn't help but be shocked when they heard it, especially Urza and the others. They even thought they had heard it wrong, and Mistgang was going to make such a crazy move. Without magic, this world will be plunged into unprecedented chaos. What is he doing? Is he trying to destroy the world? Damn, I definitely don't agree with your approach. Urza couldn't help shouting. 829, parting. Shut up. Naruto took a step forward, pressed her down, looked at her and said lightly, can you live without magic? Magic is not life. For the people, a stable life is always the most important thing. Yes, although you who are accustomed to magic will become very unaccustomed to it, but one day, the world will reach a new balance, and in an environment without magic, the country can still prosper. Urza and the others were slightly shocked. Naruto's words made it difficult for them to understand, but they seemed to understand something. Without magic power, everything related to magic will be useless. However, without magic power, the people of this world there will also be fewer disputes caused by magic, which may really be a good thing. Mistgang, let's do it. If the magic of this world disappears, I think we should be able to go back. Naruto said. Mistgang nodded. He stretched out the wand in his hand, and complex magic circles emerged from the tip of the wand, and the magic circles merged into the gray energy. Energy surge. A gigantic light, Jinchuriki column, suddenly rose from this gray energy and rushed into the sky. The wind is blowing. In the intense beam, the magic of this world began to gather from all directions to the top of the light Jinchuriki column, and through the gate of time and space there, it led to the continent of S-land. Okay, all these changes have begun. Mistgang let out a long sigh. And the others stared blankly at the huge light Jinchuriki column for a long time and were speechless. In the city, the people who were in panic because of the previous battle were all looking at the light Jinchuriki column at this time. In their eyes, this vision was as if the end of the world was coming. A breath of incomparable fear began to spread in the city. With the loss of magic power, the magic crystals in this world began to decompose, turning into energy little by little and flying into the sky. Those magic lamps and magic driving devices all stopped. Everything that relies on magic in this city has stopped working. While people were wondering, there was also an unspeakable panic in their hearts. Could it be that the end of the world is really coming? In the palace, Mistgang frowned. Sure enough, chaos. He sighed. Everyone looked at the chaotic city outside the palace, and they were all speechless. At this time, Naruto suddenly said a few words in Mistgang's ear, and Mistgang couldn't help but widen his eyes. This country needs a hero now. Do as I say, it's okay. Naruto laughed. Naruto, this is too messy, right? Mistgang was a little skeptical of Naruto's proposal, but since he proposed it, Mistgang really couldn't refuse. After all, Naruto is the strongest wizard in the guild, his words are hard to question. Then, Naruto told the plan to everyone present, and then asked Natsu to cooperate. Everyone was speechless at Naruto's thoughts. Let Natsu play the role of a demon king who destroys the country. After killing the king, then let Mistgang knock down the demon king as his royal highness and end all this chaos. This kind of plot that only appears in fairy tales will actually be used for this. This is no child's play. Everyone felt speechless in their hearts. However, because Naruto's deterrent power was there, everyone dared not question it. According to what I said, success or failure depends on the outcome. Naruto showed a confident smile on his face. However, dozens of minutes after Natsu and Mistgang left, there were bursts of enthusiastic cheers in the city. That is the cheer of the people. Everyone in the palace saw Mistgang in the city from a distance, surrounded by the voices of many people, and under him, Natsu was lying at his feet in suspended animation. It actually succeeded. Then, are those people idiots? Urza of Edris and others couldn't help but be dumbfounded. This rotten plan actually worked. The people were actually fooled by this kind of improvisation. Could it be that this is not as serious as I imagined? Is it all just that these people overestimate the role of magic? Looking at the cheering people, Urza of Edris, and the others, they seemed to have understood something, and their eyes all showed a thoughtful look. Okay. It seems that the reforms here are on the right track. Mistgang estimates that he will stay here as his prince. Let's go and say goodbye to them. I can already feel that the world is starting to reject me. Naruto clapped his hands and said to everyone. Yeah, everyone in Iceland nodded in unison, and followed Naruto out of the palace. When he came to the top of the building near Mistgang, Naruto and the people of Esland waved to him. Natsu's body, who was lying at Mistgun's feet, also began to glow slightly. The sky, the grey Uzumaki began to spread, and everyone in Iceland began to glow, and involuntarily flew to the Uzumaki in the sky. Naruto was the only one who remained motionless. He looked at his body in surprise, shook his head and laughed, and muttered, "Is my strength strong enough to stay in this world? This is really good news. Goodbye, everyone." Everyone flying in the air waved to everyone below. Naruto looked at everyone in Fairy Tail, Lucy, Wendy, Kana, Mirage, Elfman, and Lysana, who was glowing. Sure enough, Lysana, you were originally from Iceland, Naruto said with a smile. Lysana looked at Mirage and Elfman behind her. Sister, brother, she had a reluctant expression on her face, tears in her eyes. Mirage and Elfman smiled with tears in their eyes and said, "Needless to say, we know, thank you for staying with us for the past 2 years. Go back quickly, go back to your real brothers and sisters." Naruto, why aren't you leaving yet? At this moment, Lucy of Edris said in a light tone, her face slightly sideways, with a hint of strangeness in her voice. Of course I'm leaving, but I have to apologize to you. Naruto said with a smile. Apologize. Lucy was taken aback and couldn't help looking at him. Well, I suspected you were a coward after you left, but it turns out you're not like that, so I want to say thank you to you in addition to apologizing. You are a very cute girl. Naruto grinned, with a bright smile on his face. You. Lucy looked slightly startled, and then she couldn't help showing a dizzy yuhi on her face. 830. The Returning People. Okay, I've almost finished what I have to say. Goodbye everyone. Naruto said to everyone with a smile. The others were already flying into the air, and after Naruto finished speaking, his body gradually lifted into the air. Guaranteed, everyone, he waved to everyone in the air. Mistgang also waved to him from a distance. Run this country well, and I hope the next time I come here, it will be a different look. Naruto said. Mistgang nodded solemnly. Don't worry, Naruto, I won't let you down. In the light, Naruto's body gradually flew into the air and disappeared from everyone's sight. Lucy's heart seemed to have lost something at once, empty, and a feeling of regret emerged spontaneously. Lucy, what are you looking at? After Naruto and the others disappeared completely, Lucy was still looking up at the sky. Her eyes were full of melancholy. Mirage came to her and asked quietly. No, it's nothing. Lucy hurriedly regained her senses and regained her composure. The magic power has disappeared, Mistgang is in power, and the world will usher in a period of rapid recovery and development. As everyone in Fairy Tail who fought together this time, Mistgang also invited them to help him. So, everyone will be busy for a while. After ruling this country, I don't know what kind of scene it will be like. Everyone is looking forward to it. Lucy also had a faint wish in her heart. At that time, would Naruto really come to see the result? Although there is no soul, with his ability, he must be able to go back and forth between the two worlds, right? Island. Everyone appeared on the hill outside the city, and everyone in the guild was together, not a single one was missed. The city also returned to its original state, as if it had not moved, back to where it was at the beginning. Not only that, but what is even more surprising is that the Transcenders who originally lived in Edris were also rejected by the world without magic power because of the magic power in their bodies. They are already homeless, but after coming to Esland, their queen decided to let everyone live here again, and decided to get along with humans. For the queen's determination, Naruto and others appreciated it very much and welcomed their arrival. After all, this is just a group of vulnerable groups. Although they contain magic power, they lack self-protection power. Only by attaching to humans can they survive better. At this moment, a pair of small hands suddenly and quietly pulled Naruto's sleeves. Naruto lowered his head and saw a familiar pretty face, as well as Mirage who was smiling beside her. Lisanna. Naruto couldn't help laughing. Welcome back. Lisanna also smiled and threw herself into Naruto's arms, hugging him tightly. I said, what is your cat thinking? A day later, Naruto leaned on a chair in the guild and stared at the black kitten in front of him. Said he was the captain of the first unit of Edris, Lily. At that time, after everyone recovered and returned to this world, he also came here. He didn't seem to be able to maintain his strong body shape for a long time, and turned into a very cute Q-version cat, just like Habuxia Lulu. No matter how many times you refuse. Strong man, I like you very much. You see that the boy and the girl have partners by their side, so let me be your partner. I am the captain of the first unit of the guards division. Lee stood on the table and pointed at Naruto with an oath. I really don't need a partner. Naruto couldn't help but be speechless, but he didn't expect this black cat to entangle himself and couldn't get rid of it. Lily looked at him, as if very unwilling. At this moment, a crisp voice came. Brother Naruto, just promise Lily, don't waste people's kindness, and, in my impression, when did Brother Naruto become such a stranger? Lisanna held 2 glasses juice came over, sat beside Naruto, handed it to Lily and him, and said with a grin. This, Naruto sighed helplessly, since Lisanna has spoken, then I will reluctantly agree to you. With a look of joy on Lily's face, he couldn't help shouting, that's great. Partner. To celebrate, let's learn from each other. Quote. You don't want to be my partner to fight with me, do you? Naruto scratched his head while covering his forehead. No, since we are already partners, then my strength must keep up with you. Lily clenched his fists. I was really unwilling to be defeated by your one move at that time, I must change. Get stronger and catch up in your footsteps. Halo, then you should catch up first. When will you be able to take over my 3 moves? Let's fight together. Naruto rolled his eyes and set this goal for him. Although this goal is a bit difficult, since this is your test, then I will definitely work hard to improve. Lily jumped off the table and hurried out. Leaving Lisanna and Naruto look at each other and smile. Lisanna, how have you been in the past 2 years? After Lily left, Naruto greeted Lisanna and said, since you have been gone for the past 2 years, your sister Mila and brother Elfman have been very fond of you. How about you? It's great to be back now. Yeah, although there are sisters Mila and Elfman there, but after all, it's the brothers and sisters here that I miss the most. Although I feel a little sorry for everyone in Edris, it's great to be able to come back here. All right, Lisanna said with a smile. Oh, that's right, big brother Naruto. Lisanna suddenly blinked her eyes and asked naughty close to Naruto, how are you and sister Mira doing? I remember when I left, but my sister seemed to have I took you down. When she asked this, Naruto couldn't help sweating on his forehead, and suddenly felt embarrassed, and he felt that he had failed Lisanna's expectations. That's right, although Mirage also knew Naruto very early, but after Naruto came back again, her temperament has changed greatly, and she has become gentle and elegant. Although this kind of personality is very good, it is really difficult to put Naruto. Got it. Normal. Naruto felt a little uncomfortable being stared at by Lisanna. 831. S-level assessment. Everything has returned to normal. Lisanna has returned in the guild, and more Lily has joined, which seems to have become a little more lively. Other than that, there seem to be no other changes. The thing that Naruto had previously proposed to leave to find the power of chaos is now on the agenda again. So, while everyone was in the guild, Naruto announced to everyone. When everyone heard it, they were a little reluctant to give up, but they felt that there was nothing to say. Naruto had his thoughts and pursuits, and there was really no sufficient reason to keep him. Urza and Lucy, who originally wanted to persuade him to stay, didn't speak anymore, just looked at him with reluctant eyes. At this moment, Lisanna came over suddenly. She took Naruto's arm, and said with a pitiful look on her face, "Big brother Naruto, don't go, okay, Sister Mira needs you very much." Lisanna's words made Milaji, who was standing not far away, turn her face at Yuhi, and gave her sister a sullen look, but she didn't say anything more. Naruto looked at Mirage, then looked at Urza, Lucy, and Ribi. All of them had expressions that couldn't be parted, which made one's heart soften. However, if he cannot find the power of chaos, he will never be able to return to the original time and space, and he will never be able to fulfill his dream. Therefore, the brief separation was for a better meeting, and he could only use this sentence to comfort himself. Waving at everyone, Naruto planned to leave the guild. This time he left, he didn't know when he would come back. The road to seek strength was always full of unknowns. At this moment, a voice suddenly came. "Naruto, Lisanna finally returned to the guild. You should stay for a while, because our S-level assessment is about to start." President. Everyone turned to look. Makarov stood behind them at some point, and he said with a smile, "S-rank exam. Could it be that the annual S-rank wizard exam is over?" Natsu couldn't help cheering excitedly. "Yeah, that's right. So this S-rank exam can't be without Naruto," Makarov said. "Me." Naruto pointed at himself and couldn't help but let out a wry smile. Did he convince himself with this reason? At this moment, a tall figure suddenly appeared at the entrance of the hall, accompanied by a heroic laughter. "Haha, Naruto, long time no see, you've grown so strong. The breath on your body is so strong that even I can't predict it." Everyone looked at the source of the voice again, but found that it was Gilda's. "I didn't expect him to come back. How can I be missing from the annual S-level assessment?" Gilda's walked in with a laugh and greeted everyone along the way. After arriving in front of Naruto, he patted Naruto vigorously. On the shoulders of the man, he said, "I really want to have a chat with you." Naruto also had a smile on his face, and he nodded. "I will accompany you to the end." "It's great. Big brother Naruto, you're not leaving." Wendy couldn't help but smile after confirming the news that Naruto was staying. The return of Gildas has made the atmosphere of the guild warm again. He used to be the strongest of the guild, but now, the strongest of the guild is Naruto. The meeting between the two also made everyone in the guild excited, and they really wanted to watch the showdown between the two. Okay, there are still 3 days before the S-level assessment. Everyone will gather in the guild by then. I am informing the content of the assessment. Now let's do all kinds of things. Makarov announced to everyone and left the guild. Naruto sat down in the guild again and chatted with Gildas. "Naruto, you have surpassed me now. I can already hear your title of the strongest wizard in fairy tale outside." Gildas looked quite happy when he saw Naruto. At that time, he had a battle with Naruto. At that time, Naruto's strength had already shocked him greatly. Now, Naruto's strength has grown to the point that even he can't see through it now. Naruto smiled. "The title of the strongest is not that simple, but I really want to fight with you." Hearing this, Gildas couldn't help laughing. "Then let's agree on a battle tomorrow," Gildas suggested. "Okay, I can't wait." Naruto nodded. The two chatted a few more times. After that, Gildas suddenly turned pale and said mysteriously, "Naruto, have you seen the power of dragons?" "Dragon." Naruto was stunned for a moment. He looked at Gildas up and down, and suddenly frowned and said, "Are you injured?" "Yeah." Gildas lifted off his coat, revealing the half of his body that was bound up inside, and smiled bitterly. "I did a 100-year mission, and as a result, I was beaten like this during the mission, and the mission followed suit. Fail. In comparison, you who have completed the century-old mission are indeed much stronger than me." "So, did you meet the dragon on the mission?" Naruto asked. A trace of fear flashed in Gilda's eyes. He nodded slightly, and whispered in Naruto's ear, I met a black dragon. He just hit me like this with a random blow. Black dragon, Naruto murmured, and his heart couldn't help being a little dignified. He can see clearly the strength of Kilda's now, which is definitely beyond the level of the General Holy Ten. Even compared with President Makarov, there is no difference at all. Therefore, his power is also very powerful. If he is an enemy of dragons, he will not be injured like this. Of course, Naruto has experienced the power of dragons. Although he is very strong, he is not invincible. At least in this world the Holy Ten sorcerers can definitely have the power to fight. However, Gildas said that he was seriously injured by the opponent's blow as soon as he met this guy, which is enough to show that the black dragon's strength is absolutely powerful. And it is definitely above the ice dragon and water dragon that he has encountered. The only thing that can be compared is perhaps the golden earth dragon, right? However, Naruto also had a feeling of excitement in his heart. If he could meet that black dragon, he might fight again. Hey, you look like you want to try his powers. Gildas couldn't help but smile when he saw Naruto's warlike expression. Hey, of course. Forget it, he is no longer there now. Except for a few dragons in this world, almost all of them move around. It's really not that easy to find dragons. 832, Dating. Kilda's words caused Naruto to think. When he encountered a dragon, he entered the dragon's habitat. So, the black dragon is different from other dragons, he is more active than other dragons, is he moving around? Naruto couldn't figure it out for a while. Since I decided to take the S-rank mage exam before leaving, I should just stay and relax these few days. In the evening, when everyone in the guild was almost gone, Naruto was secretly dragged by Lisanna and left behind. Because Mirage was in charge of everything every time the guild closed, she almost left the guild at the latest, and Lisanna asked Naruto to wait for them to go back together outside the guild, and Naruto agreed. After a while, Mirage and Lisanna, who had been busy with everything, were about to go back. I made you wait for a long time, Naruto brother. The two walked out of the guild together. Lisanna saw that Naruto was really sitting on a public chair not far from the guild, leisurely watching the sunset. She ran over and shouted. You guys are out. Naruto stood up and greeted them. Mirage obviously felt strange about Naruto staying here waiting for them, looked at Naruto in confusion, and then looked at Lisanna. Hee, sister, what do you think this is? Lisanna winked at her mischievously, then stretched out 2 pieces of paper and asked. This is. This is a movie ticket. I specially prepared it for you and Naruto brother. Lisanna said with a smile. Naruto and Mirage were stunned when they heard it. Mirage was obviously surprised. She whispered softly, Lisanna, why didn't you tell me this guy? This is surprising, I'm not ready. Lisanna ignored her sister's words, turned to look at Naruto, and laughed. Naruto brother, will you agree to me? This is something I specially prepared for you and sister Mila. Hey, for you. Go, don't go and see you. Saying that, she just shoved the movie ticket into Naruto's hand. Naruto couldn't help crying and laughing. Lisanna is really making her own decisions, is she trying to match herself with Mirage? What a sweet little sister. Lisanna, you will make Naruto embarrassed. Mirage's face was slightly uhiran, and he seemed to be blaming Lisanna for making decisions without authorization, but he liked his sister very much. Practice. Sister, you have to seize the opportunity. Lisanna whispered in her sister's ear, and then ran out of sight of the two in a flash. Naruto shook his head helplessly. What a lovely sister. Holding the 2 movie tickets in his hand, he looked at Mirage. Then let's go to the movies, we can't live up to Lisanna's kindness. Naruto said to Mirage with a gentle smile on his face. Mirage looked slightly startled, then nodded immediately. Ah, okay. The flustered Mirage is just as cute as Lisanna. Is this a date? Mirage murmured when the two came to the door of the cinema. Naruto smiled slightly, walked in with Mirage, found a seat and sat down. This is my first time watching a movie in this world. Naruto said with emotion. Ah, really? Well, is this the first time I've taken Naruto? Mirage looked quite happy and shy. She whispered to Naruto. The movie is an old screen movie. The production process and content are very rough. In Naruto's view, it is a complete bad movie, but in this world, a movie of this level is a very good thing. I saw Rice. The look of Raj being deeply immersed in it is proof enough. Although the theme of heroes and love is played, the girls never seem to get tired, and they are moved every time they watch it. Naruto turned his head and looked at the tears that were moved by the story inside. He was very speechless. But girls are supposed to be so emotional, right? This is also the kind and lovely side of girls, right? Of course Naruto wouldn't hate it, but he would find this very endearing. After watching a movie, Mirage had unknowingly leaned into Naruto's arms, and Naruto's clothes were already wet with her tears. When he came out, Mirage seemed to be still immersed in the movie story, sad for the tragedy of the ending of the hero and heroine separating the two worlds. Okay, isn't it just a movie? Mira, should we go get something to eat now? Seeing her tendency to burst into tears, Naruto hurriedly changed the subject and took her to a restaurant. The two sat opposite each other, tasting this rare dinner. Mira wears a long dress with a long, slim fit, with a slight slit at the hem. When she sat opposite Naruto, some people around her looked at them with admiration. Mira, you are very beautiful today. Naruto couldn't help but praise during the meal. Yes, but I didn't prepare well today. If I had known this, I would definitely have to change my clothes. Mira seemed not to be very satisfied with her clothes, because it's what she usually wears. How could she have thought that Lisanna would suddenly create an opportunity for her to date Naruto? It looks good anyway. Naruto laughed. When Mira heard the words, she couldn't help but smile sweetly. After a while, when the two finished eating, it was already late. At this time, everyone has gone back. Naruto, accompany me to the river. On the way back, Mirage suddenly said to Naruto. Naruto nodded. Although it was time to go back to sleep now, he certainly wanted to be able to enjoy the night view with a beautiful woman like Mirage. The two walked quietly by the river, and Mirage seemed very quiet. She sometimes looked at Naruto, and sometimes looked up at the night sky, with a look of satisfaction and tranquility on her face. Naruto quietly held her hand, which was cold and soft. At this moment, there seemed to be a tacit understanding between the two of them. Just holding each other's hands seemed to be enough to understand each other's feelings. Under the moonlight, the figures of the two gradually overlapped, and Naruto lowered his head and gently kissed Mirage's soft lips. Mirage's body trembled slightly, her bright eyes slowly closed, and she let Naruto ask for her kiss. Not far from the river, Lisanna secretly watched the scene of her sister and Naruto kissing, with a yearning in her eyes. When will I be able to experience the feeling of love like my sister? 833. Showdown. The next morning, Naruto got up from the bed, recalling the scene of his date with Mirage last night, and the corner of his mouth couldn't help showing a knowing smile. But today is the day to discuss with Gildas is the better. After Naruto washed up, he went to the appointed place after having breakfast. On the dirt slope outside the city, when Naruto arrived here, he found that there were several figures waiting there early. In addition to Gildas, there are also Natsu, Gray, Urza and Mirage and the others. Almost half of the guild members are here, waiting by the side. At this time, Gildas was chatting with Natsu. Because this time the battle is between Naruto and Gildas, the battle between the two strongest guilds, this is the long-awaited duel. The strength of Naruto is obvious to all, that is the existence that was named the Holy Ten by the council, and the real strength has already reached the level of the president. And Gildas is also very powerful. Although he is not one of the Holy Ten, his strength has already reached the level of the guild leader, and even some of the guild feel that his strength has surpassed the guild leader Makarov. So, this is a peak matchup. Gildas vs Uzumaki Naruto. As soon as the two of them arrived at the scene, everyone had a feeling of excitement. What a long-awaited battle. Someone sighed. Yeah, the strongest versus the strongest. This time there will definitely be a final strong. Who is the strongest? Let's bet, Kana suddenly suggested with a smile. Okay, I'll crush Naruto. Urza took out all the cash on her body and put it in front of Kana. Gambling, isn't it good to gamble? Lucy cried out in surprise when she saw that everyone had already started gambling without authorization. If that's the case, I'll bet on Naruto to win. Mirage also joined in upon seeing this. How could that be? Why did Mila gamble too? I'll join too. Ribi held the money and put it next to Kana. Really, how can there be no Juvia? Juvia came out of nowhere and shouted to get involved. Immediately afterwards, everyone around joined in and participated in this gamble about who wins and who loses. As a result, both Naruto and Gilda's bets were 5-5. In other words, the people who are optimistic about them are divided into half. Naruto, it seems that your popularity has surpassed mine. As your senior, I don't know if I should feel lonely. Gildas said jokingly. Naruto smiled slightly. Isn't the result just after World War I? Boom. As soon as the words fell, an incomparably strong magical momentum suddenly emerged from the two of them. So strong. Seeing this, everyone exclaimed in surprise. I saw the momentum emanating from the two of them, creating a wave of air in the air, spreading towards the surrounding. Especially the aura of Gildas, everything he passed was shattered into dust. If he hadn't deliberately controlled the range, I'm afraid the onlookers would be affected. And Naruto's aura seems to be more neutral and peaceful, but when Gildas' airwaves are rolling and approaching Naruto, they are blocked by all of them, and they can't take an inch at all. The two sides have not yet acted, but just stood there quietly, and the momentum generated by the intersection has already made people feel unbearable. It's so powerful. The crowd thought to themselves. Let's go, Gildas said lightly, and when he entered the fighting state, he had a serious look on his face, without his usual cheerful smile. And Naruto still had a smile on his mouth. He stretched out a hand. You go first. Fight, don't let it come and go. Natsu couldn't help shouting. Naruto and Gildas smiled at each other, and suddenly rushed towards each other at the same time. Boom. The fists of the two collided in the center, and there was a muffled sound in the air, followed by a dazzling magic light bursting out from the fists of the two, accompanied by a violent wave, sending everyone watching the battle forced to take a few steps back. Just as soon as they fought, the aftermath caused everyone to be unable to stay here. Everyone had to pull back a distance so as not to be implicated, and watched the battle between the two from a distance. Naruto and Gildas fought each other with pure force on the field. Bang bang bang. The airwaves and sounds caused by the mutual strikes of the two sides continued to linger in the ears of everyone, and the mounts in the field had already been razed to the ground, and the smoke and dust were everywhere, making people afraid to approach. Boom. Finally, Gildas was punched in the cheek by Naruto, and his body flew out with a bang. At the same time, Gildas stretched out his left hand, and a strong magic beam condensed in his palm, which landed on Naruto with a bang. The two flew backwards at the same time. There were two loud bangs, and the two fell to the ground. Equally matched. Everyone shouted involuntarily when they saw this. However, Naruto's body suddenly disappeared into white smoke with a bang. Clone. Urza was slightly startled, and Gildas didn't know much about Naruto's moves, so he couldn't help but be stunned. Immediately, a sound of breaking the air came from behind him. It's Naruto. I saw that he raised his fist and slammed it down towards Gildas. Snapped. However, Gildas suddenly stretched out his palm and squeezed Naruto's hand at once. At the same time, the magic power on him burst out once again. Magic liberation. It turns out that Gildas hasn't used his full strength yet. Everyone couldn't help exclaiming when they saw this. The sky condensed with dark clouds, the surrounding winds were blowing, and the ground under Gildas' feet was cracked. At this moment, his magic power was fully activated. The astonishing momentum that erupted was no less than that of Saint Ten. Even stronger than the Holy 10. Gildas, is this all your strength? It's really strong. The corner of Naruto's mouth, whose fist was clenched, couldn't help but smile. Yeah, the warm-up just now is over. Naruto, should you show some real skills? Gildas said dissatisfiedly. Ha, since you said so, then I'll be more serious. Naruto laughed, and when he used his arm, he broke free from the shackles of Gildas in an instant, and his body was actually raised to the same level as Gildas a degree. The wind is surging, and at this moment, the momentum in the field is simply unbelievable. The people around them were so weak that it was almost difficult to breathe. Is this the arrogance of the strongest? There was a deep awe in the hearts of everyone. 834. Beyond. Equals 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 equals. ABC Amber CHM Converter 7.37. Trial version. Equals 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 equals. 835. See through. After returning to the guild, Makarov casually informed the situation of the exam 2 days later, as well as the list of personnel for the S-rank exam. Natsu, Gray, Elfman, Meester, Kana, Juvia, Rebi and others are all listed. This time, the exam is divided into 2 groups, and the location is overseas on Sirius Island, which is the forbidden place of the Fairy Tale Guild. And now, everyone began to decide on the partner for this exam. Are partners, and then, Kana and Lucy are partners, Juvia is partnering with Abigail Rin and Thor. Elfman and Listener are partners, and Lebi asks Naruto to call Loki. Come out and let her as a partner, and then Gray had to partner with Lily. In addition, Meester found Wendy and asked her to partner with him. Others, such as Gildas, Mirage, Naruto, Urza, and Fred of Thor, entered the exam as examiners. When everything was arranged, it was afternoon, and everyone went back one after another. At this time, Naruto suddenly stopped at the gate of the guild, and when the man named Meester left, he followed silently. The two walked for a while, and Meester discovered the existence of Naruto. Why have you been following me? He said suddenly, turning around. Naruto smiled and walked towards him, saw a scar on his cheek, suddenly looked cold, and asked, "Who are you?" Meester was slightly startled, and then he said calmly, "I am Meester, a disciple of Mistgang, and I have taken S-level exams several times before." Really? Naruto sneered after hearing this, "But I haven't seen you. Besides, your abilities are useless to me." Meester's face changed drastically, his body suddenly stepped back a few steps, and he looked at Naruto in shock. "What's your purpose in sneaking into this exam?" Naruto told him bluntly. Just now, Meester actually used magic to distort the memory of everyone, including the president, making people mistakenly think that he was from Fairy Tale, but only Naruto was not affected. He saw through his disguise at a glance. However, Naruto didn't feel any killing intent from him, so he didn't expose it on the spot, but followed him all the way here before explaining it to him. Looking at Naruto's blue pupils, Meester immediately felt an invisible pressure, which made him unable to resist a slight cold sweat on his forehead. "I have no malice," Meester could only say. In fact, he is a spy sent by the council to infiltrate the guild to collect evidence of Fairy Tale. However, now that the spy has been exposed, Meester can no longer stay. "I don't want to see you again on the day of the exam. Also, tampering with other people's memories. Although this kind of magic is very convenient, I am very disgusted." Naruto frowned and said coldly. At this time, Meester was a little breathless under the pressure of Naruto's breath, and suddenly thumped, and was made to kneel on the ground by Naruto's aura. "Let's go," Naruto yelled, turning around. When Meester heard the words, he couldn't help being shocked, and then left here in a daze. Naruto's frowning brows stretched out, pouted, and murmured, "The newcomers of the council dare to participate, what a nosy." He had already sensed that something was wrong with Meister, and when his perception was released, he immediately sensed the aura of those knights that belonged to the Magic Council. And Meister also carried the breath of a magic knight, and he quickly learned the identity of the other party. Therefore, he drove this guy away directly. This is the S-level magician assessment belonging to Fairy Tail. If outsiders want to participate, they must first ask themselves whether they agree or not. After eliminating Meister, there are only 6 groups left, and these 6 groups will have to wait for the island of Sirius Island in 2 days. In the past 2 days, in addition to doing some preparatory work, everyone is to relax and adjust their mood and state to meet the S-level exam. After all, this is not an ordinary exam, and the requirements are much stricter. Not long after Meister was driven away, Naruto was about to go back when he suddenly saw a familiar figure on a public bench by the roadside. She was holding a bottle of wine in her hand, looking up and drinking wildly. At this time, the sun was setting in the west, and the afterglow of the sunset reflected on her face, and her profile was illuminated by Yuhi. Kana. Naruto was a little strange. Why did she leave the guild and drink here alone? Moreover, why is there a very dull atmosphere? He walked over slowly, and at this moment, there were a few figures on the other side, who looked like gangsters. They saw Kana drinking alone, and they looked at each other and smiled. He walked towards her. Naruto frowned slightly. He took the first step to Kana's side, and glared at the gangsters. Suddenly, a special momentum rolled over them, shocking them in place and daring not to move. Kana seemed to feel something, turned her head slightly, and saw Naruto's figure. "Yes, it's Naruto," Kana called to him with a flushed face. Naruto walked over and sat down beside her, and when he smelled the smell of alcohol, he couldn't help frowning. "Why do you still drink so much wine when you leave the guild? And it's very dangerous to drink here alone." Naruto reached out and grabbed the wine bottle in her hand, scolding. Kana was stunned for a moment, giggling, and then reached out to grab the wine bottle. I want to drink." Of course Naruto couldn't let her succeed. With a wave of his arm, he threw the wine bottle out, and fell to the ground with a bang, shattering. Kana just woke up a little, and lay weakly on Naruto's shoulders, with the strong smell of alcohol in her mouth. "Naruto, why are you robbing my wine? Damn it." Looking at her jade face with Yuhi's eyes, Naruto sighed helplessly. She was obviously drunk. After thinking about it, Naruto got up, took her arm and carried her on his back, and said to her, "I'll take you back to the dormitory." Kana was suddenly picked up by Naruto, and Chunin couldn't help but let out a soft cry. She struggled slightly and shouted, "No, I don't want it. I want to drink. I want to drink now." "Calm down. After sending you back to the dormitory, no one cares how much you want to drink, as long as you can get up the next day. Naruto really has nothing to do with such a girl who is addicted to alcohol." 836. Reverie. I don't want to go back to the dorm," Kana murmured on his back. "Where can you go if you don't go back to the dormitory?" Naruto was sweating on his forehead. It seemed that she was really drunk. Although this guy usually drinks, he doesn't drink so exaggeratedly. Naruto had an intuition that something must be on her mind. "I just don't want to go back," Kana suddenly shouted in his ear. Naruto's ears were almost broken, and he smiled bitterly. "If you don't go back, where will you live?" Kana on her back was silent for a while. A smell of alcohol blew into Naruto's ears. She said with a smile, I'm going to your place." "I don't have a place to live there." Naruto smiled wryly again. "No, I'm going to live with you," Kana shouted again. ... Naruto was speechless. "When I got home, it was just getting dark." "Who is this woman?" After entering the door, a crisp voice came. "It's Angela." After the entire town disappeared before, Angela did not turn into crystal due to the protection of her avatar, and then when the town recovered, she lived in Naruto's house again. At this time, she saw that Naruto suddenly came back with a girl on his back, with a strange look on his face, and asked, "Friends from the guild, you may have to stay here for one night tonight." Naruto smiled wryly. What? And Jie's face changed. Naruto actually took the woman home for the night. What is this trying to do? So, Angier, you should go to a hotel outside tonight, otherwise you won't have enough room to sleep at home. Naruto said to her. Angier heard the words, her face couldn't help showing a stunned look. This guy Naruto actually wanted to drive him away and let him and this woman stay at home alone. How is this possible? Isn't that letting yourself give them a chance? Moreover, this woman who smells of alcohol looks like a very casual guy. If she wants to do something to Naruto, won't it be done soon? No. If that's the case, wouldn't he have no chance? How can you give Naruto to this girl? Don't worry about anything. I still have a plan that I haven't finished yet. I mustn't let this girl destroy it. Angier lowered her head. The expression on her face was gloomy and uncertain. Naruto looked at her bowing her head and said nothing. A faint smile flashed on her face. How is it? Feel wrong tonight? Naruto persuaded. Of course, Angier was unwilling in her heart now, but she could not refuse him with a strong attitude. After all, she was not the owner of this place. Strictly speaking, she was just a prisoner of Naruto. If you say refusal now, it is absolutely impossible. At this moment, her eyes were rolling, and she suddenly raised her head and said to Naruto, Naruto, this young lady must be drunk. I think she needs to be taken care of. I can stay here. Take care of her, and I can sleep with her then so you don't have to spend time taking care of her. When Naruto heard this, he was stunned. He didn't expect her to come up with such an excuse, but he didn't give in and said, but if you stay, it will be bad if she finds out your identity. Once the word spreads out, the council members will come to arrest you, and even I won't be able to protect you. It's better for you to go outside while she's drunk now. Naruto's words left Angier speechless. That's right, the girl on Naruto's back is a member of the guild. When she wakes up and finds herself, if she finds out who she was before, she will definitely be taken away. Don't say it's a plan. The rest of my life is over. Biting Kiba, Angie had no choice but to reluctantly left Naruto's house and went outside to find a hotel to stay. A sense of grievance rose in her heart. It's as if a hostess was kicked out by her man, and then she has to endure the taste of her man cheating with other women. This is such a torment. Angela thought so in her heart, but she immediately realized that something was wrong. How could she have such thoughts? Even if Naruto and this woman mess around when he's not around, as long as he catches his heart in the future, it's the same. Why are you pantothenic at this time? Did he already? No, absolutely impossible. Naruto is hateful. He is his own enemy. It's the enemy you want to destroy. Along the way, Angela kept mumbling and admonishing herself like this. And after Angel left, Naruto put Kana down and let her sit on the sofa. He went to make a cup of boiling water and fed her to drink. After drinking, Kana was a little awake. She held her forehead and asked, Naruto, is this your home? Yes, do you really want to stay with me tonight? Yes. Yes, just now. Who was that girl just now? Although Kana was drunk, she still had some impression of Angela just now. It's a friend of mine. I'm going back now. Naruto said with a ha-ha, casually. Oh, Kana was drunk and didn't care, so she believed Naruto's words. After nodding, she stood up and apologized to Naruto. Sorry, I was drunk before. It must have troubled you, Naruto. Naruto smiled and shook his head. Oh yes, although I'm much awake now, I still have to live with you tonight. How about you? Are you welcome? Kana suddenly leaned over and leaned against Mingyu with her huge pair of D-cup breasts. On the man's arm, he winked at him and smiled. There was a provocative taste in her eyes, and at this moment, with the smell of alcohol on her body, an aphrodisiac aura suddenly rose in the air. Naruto swallowed and laughed twice. Hee hee, I'm going to take a shower first. The smell of alcohol is so bad. Kana suddenly left him again and ran into the bathroom. Naruto let out a long breath and sat on the sofa, feeling a little dazed. The soft feeling of Kana's chest still lingered on his arms. This is really terrible. Is it a mistake to keep her? Looking in the direction of the bathroom, Naruto couldn't help but have a trace of reverie in his mind. 837. Let's be honest. In the bathroom, Kana was lying in the bathtub filled with water, immersing her whole body in the water, the warm water clinging to her tender body. Kana leaned lazily in the bathtub, her jade arms resting on the edge of the bathtub, and her face seemed worried and sad. Kana, why haven't you come out for so long? Naruto was very surprised. She had been in for more than half an hour, and there was no sound of taking a bath. Could it be that she was lying in the bathtub? Fell asleep. If you slip down accidentally, you might drown. Naruto was taken aback by the thought that popped into his mind. Should go in and see. He urged himself so. After a while, Naruto came to the bathroom door and called softly, Kana, have you finished washing? There is no sound inside. Naruto frowned, feeling a little bad. He hesitated for a moment, opened the bathroom door the next moment, and walked in directly. It didn't lock the door. Naruto thought so, and saw a very attractive scene in his line of sight. I saw Kana half lying in the bathtub. The water in the bathtub just submerged her chest. Her bulging chest showed an exaggerated arc on the surface of the water, and her long hair was soaked in the water, and her skin exposed to the water was fair. It is as attractive as water tofu. And her expression had a hint of sadness, and she was in a trance. After Naruto opened the door and came in, she finally came back to her senses and was stunned when she saw Naruto actually entered the bathroom. But soon, Yuhi Dizzy appeared on Kana's face, and she said shyly, Naruto, why did you come in? Could it be that you want to wash with me? If it is you, I'm fine. Saying that, she also waved to Naruto. Naruto smiled a little embarrassedly. Kana, I told you just now that you shouldn't. I thought you fell asleep here, so I came in. Since you're fine, then go on, go on. As he spoke, he stepped back. However, at this moment, Kana suddenly stood up from the bathtub, and a splash of water splashed out. Even Naruto's body was affected. Naruto was dumbfounded, only to see a pair of huge jade rabbits on Kana's chest trembling violently because of her movements, and there were still water droplets left behind. It was simply too beautiful. Under her slender waist, her buttocks are suddenly raised, and in the middle of her fair and slender jade legs is a deep jungle. Kana, why are you suddenly? Naruto, wash with me. Kana stepped out suddenly, stepped forward and grabbed Naruto who was stunned, pulling him hard. Naruto was taken aback by her sudden attack, and his eyes were still wandering on her body. Drenched all over. Naruto didn't take off his clothes, and was pushed back into the bathtub by Kana. This is really exciting. Naruto's body was immersed in water, and he was soaked all over without any discomfort, but because of the soft touch of Kana's naked body pressing on his body, he had a wonderful feeling that could not be spoken. Hey, Kana, what are you doing all of a sudden? Naruto said quickly. However, Kana stretched out a green jade finger to Naruto's mouth and shrugged at him. Naruto, I really want to take a bath with you. But this is too sudden, right? Naruto's heart beat faster, and he was really restless at this moment. The white bathroom, the warm water, and the scent and soft touch from Kana's body made Naruto unbearable. No, in fact, haven't we met frankly for a long time? Kana said with a smile. Her pair of jade hands quietly landed on Naruto's chest, and then slowly helped him take off his clothes. How could Naruto resist when she was stroked by her slippery little hands? It was too late for him to be excited, and after a while, all the clothes on his body were removed. Two people, everyone sincerely meet. However, neither body was in the bathtub yet. Because two people were seated at once, the water in the bathtub was already full. At this time, Kana was lying on Naruto's body like that, pressing him with her soft chest, making it difficult for him to move. I have a hunch, this time we can really make it, Kana said, leaning over into his ear. Her little hand trembled and slid from Naruto's solid back to his chest, and then went deep into the water and quietly held him. Naruto was shocked. He didn't expect Kana to be so bold. Today, he attacked him as if he had taken aphrodisiac. Kana, are you sure you're sober now? Naruto even thought she was still drunk at this time, going crazy. I'm not drunk. Kana Yu's face was flushed, and the length and hardness of Naruto's body made her feel soft all over. This was the first time she was so bold. Naruto takes action. At this time, there was no one else around. No Elsa, no Mirage, no Lucy, and now it was in Naruto's bathtub. However, what you're doing now makes me misunderstand whether you're drinking crazy, Naruto said with difficulty, suppressing the desire to burst out in his body. When Kana heard the words, her expression suddenly turned positive, her clear eyes slowly approached Naruto's blue eyes, and she said seriously, Naruto, I'm very awake now, even if you think I'm a slutty. A woman, no matter what, I will seize this opportunity to prove to you that I love you. And I will give you my body, even if there is no chance in the future, I will have no regrets. After listening to Naruto, he couldn't help being stunned. He was a little confused by Kana's confession, but of course he was also very happy. Of course, it was an honor for him to be confessed by a girl like her. It's just, why is Kana speaking so seriously? There seems to be a kind of sadness in her tone. Combined with her previous drunk performance, Naruto could almost be sure at this time that there must be some troubles hidden in Kana's heart, otherwise it would be impossible to explain this series of abnormal behaviors today. Kana, what the hell happened to you? Naruto suddenly reached out and grabbed her round shoulders and asked with concern. 838. Love. Equals 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 equals. ABC Amber CHM Converter 7.37. Trial version. Equals 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 equals. 839. Jealous. In the bathroom, a passion was brewing, and the bodies of the two were fiery entangled. Naruto fully experienced Kana's fiery passion and body, and the sound of muffled groans and collisions kept ringing. The water surface was undulating continuously, and there were bursts of waves. After a long time, the voice inside gradually stopped, only Kana's weak voice of Zhao. Panting. Naruto hugged her tender body with both hands, and the two walked out of the bathroom naked. Yuhi's face was full of passion. Yuhi was dizzy after the love, and the skin on her body was covered with patches of wet Yuhi. When the two came to the room, Naruto put her gently on the bed. Kana's eyes were gentle like water, looking at him lingeringly, a pair of jade arms hooked around his neck. Naruto, I want you to hold me to sleep, a sweet and coquettish voice came out of her mouth. Naruto smiled slightly, lay beside her, and hugged her according to his words. The two just lay on the bed like this, neither of them said a word, experiencing the quiet moment after the passion. I don't know how long it took, maybe it was late at night, Kana sighed and asked Naruto, in the future, can we still lie together like this? Naruto was stunned for a moment, then smiled and reached out and tapped her smooth forehead. Really, you are already my woman, of course I will love you well in the future. Really, today, I just want to give you my first time. If you don't like me, Naruto, you don't have to try to love me like this. Kana looked at him and said. Naruto shook his head, stared at Kana's watery eyes, and said with a serious face, as long as I identify a woman, I will treat her well, protect her, and prevent her from any harm. Kana, you are the woman I believe, how could I be irresponsible to you like that? When Kana heard this, A tear rolled in her eyes, and the corners of her mouth murmured for a while, and finally she bowed her head and cried softly in his arms. What's the matter? Don't cry all of a sudden. Naruto said helplessly, hugging her round shoulders. Woo on the girls too. Do you know how long I've been waiting for this day? Since your first day here when I was in the guild, I had already begun to look forward to you, but you didn't show anything to others. It's abominable. Kana was crying, and some incoherently described her feelings, and then she had a beautiful face. Suddenly Yuhi slapped Yuhi and said coquettishly, but in the bathtub just now, he made people so miserable and made so many shameful actions. Naruto laughed. He approached Kana's ear and asked softly, teasingly, but I think you seem to be enjoying yourself just now. I guess you like that feeling too, right? Saying that, he stretched out his hand and pressed it on Kana's slightly undulating chest again, and moved. Well, don't. I'm already very tired. Kana wiggled her body slightly and refused with her mouth, but her soft and smooth body had already wrapped around Naruto's waist involuntarily. With a puff, Naruto held onto her white and tender thigh with one hand, and when her waist was stiff, she had already entered deeply. Ah! Kana couldn't help but raise her head and let out a long, happy moan. Her brows were slightly wrinkled, like pain and joy, her expression was hard to restrain. Next, there was another round of fierce scolding. The room was filled with the sound of two people fighting. Outside Naruto's house, Angier was hiding behind a tree downstairs, looking up at the lit window of Naruto's room upstairs. The intermittent moaning from inside made her unable to help it. Secretly bit Silver Kiba. What should I do? These two guys are already getting together. What should I do? Naruto, this bastard, he really is a big pervert at the front and rear of the car. He actually made such an obscene sound. She slightly Yuhi with a face, he kept muttering to himself. But at the same time, Angier was very dissatisfied. Why did he not even look at her in front of a beautiful 10-10 like her? Is she really that unattractive? Or maybe he was really so jealous, but why did he agree to take him in? With his power, a small person like himself would definitely not be looked down upon. What a weird guy. Angel murmured in her heart, becoming more and more curious about him. But at this moment, the raw rice had already been cooked, and it was too late. Angier sighed with a frown, and listened to the sound of the upstairs with a heartbeat of Yuhi's face. This night is destined to be sleepless. Early the next morning, as soon as Kana left Naruto's house, Angela knocked on the door. The door opened, and Naruto was about to leave. Seeing that Angier came back staring at the two big dark circles, she couldn't help but ask strangely, "Did you sleep well last night?" Angel's eyes were dodging a little. When she saw him at this time, she couldn't help but think of the shameful sound he made when he was tossing with Kana last night. I'm not used to sleeping outside, she said. Naruto shook his head helplessly. There was nothing he could do. He just nodded and said lightly, "Oh, then you can rest a little longer, I'll go to the guild." He quickly left the house, and Angel looked at him from behind with a complicated look on his face. This man is getting more and more incomprehensible. He is indifferent to a beautiful woman like himself, even a little indifferent, but last night he showed that he likes women so much. Hey, what a contradiction the guy. Angela felt that her plan was really difficult to achieve. After Naruto came to the guild, he went directly to find Gildas. At this time, Gildas was discussing with Urza, Fried and others about the exam items for the day after tomorrow. Yo, Naruto, you came so early. When he saw Naruto approaching, he stretched out his hand to say hello. You guys are much earlier than me. Naruto responded with a smile. At this moment, Gildas's nose suddenly shrugged, winked at Naruto with a wicked smile and said, "You kid, what did you do last night? You actually smell like a woman on your body." What? Hearing him suddenly say this, Naruto was taken aback. This guy, suddenly making such a joke, is really unresponsive. Hey, don't talk nonsense, okay? Naruto immediately retorted. 840. Heart not. Haha, my nose is very sensitive. Gildas smiled and patted Naruto on the shoulder, with an ambiguous look on his face. He smiled and said to Naruto, "Don't be embarrassed to admit it. Men, I understand. Especially for a strong man like you, it is a matter of course to play with women, but I was also a flower master when I was young." Gildas ignored Urza's murderous look next to him, and spoke to Naruto loudly. Naruto felt that Urza's eyes were very bad. No, it was very scary. Her nose sucked hard, and her body also leaned towards Naruto. "Really, it really smells like a woman." After Gildas said this, Urza also smelled Naruto's body carefully. These are usually not noticed. Damn Gildas. Naruto angrily stared at Gildas, who was talking nonsense, while being stared at by Urza's sharp eyes a little bit unbearably. "Ahaha, what the hell, I'm a little thirsty in the morning, I'll go get a drink first." Naruto hurriedly walked away, came to the counter, and asked Malong for juice. However, Mira seemed to be in a bad mood today. Seeing Naruto reaching out, she gave him a resentful look and walked away. Damn. It seems like it caused a chain reaction to be said by Gildas. Now even a girl as gentle as Mila don't wait to see yourself. Naruto was depressed and planned to get the juice by himself. At this time Mila glanced at him and came over to help him, but she sighed and complained, "Naruto, you do have the smell of a woman, really, if you really like women, why don't you come to me? I have always liked you." Hearing her soft and weak appearance, with tears rolling in her eyes, Naruto felt helpless, so he could only coax her. "Mira, don't listen to this bastard Gildas, and I also like it very much." "Mila, you. Well, but why don't you always touch me, and go to other women? In contrast, I can give everything for you, you can do whatever you want." Mila said. On the side there was a resentment in his ear, and he gently pinched his waist with his hand. Feeling the soft strength of her little hand, Naruto's heart was about to melt, but he could only pretend that Kiba grinned in pain and shouted, Okay, Mira, I'm for real. I like you very much. HMPH. Then you can show me something." Mila snorted and turned her face slightly. I didn't expect that a girl as gentle as Mila would lose her temper willfully, but to be honest, she is really cute like this. Naruto felt that he was being cute. Looking at her tender cheeks that were slightly puffed up because of anger, he looked at everyone around him. At the moment when no one noticed, he suddenly turned his head to her face like lightning. Kissed. Ah. Mira whimpered softly, and when Naruto kissed her, she turned back to look at him with shame and joy. A dizziness filled her face. Naruto also sighed secretly. What a tense morning. Fortunately, Mirage had been appeased. However, Urza is also a problem next. Naruto stroked his forehead with a headache. Because the exam is about to take place the day after tomorrow, the rest of the guild have also been busy these days. While preparing for the exam, they also asked Naruto and Gildas to go to Sirius Island to do some preparations. However, Urza seemed to be really jealous and ignored him all day. When everyone went back in the evening, Naruto stopped Gildas. Because of the previous Kana incident, he decided to help her and let her recognize Gildas. So, he made an appointment with Gildas to talk to him the next morning, on the hill behind the Fairy Tale Guild. Gildas agreed suspiciously. On the last day of the exam deadline, Naruto asked Kana out early. "Naruto, what's the matter? Why did you call me so early?" After the rest of the previous day, Kana's body has recovered, and her face is full of radiance, which makes the other girls in the guild look very surprised and envious, and they all speculate. Why did she become like this? Moreover, because of her relationship with Naruto, Kana didn't drink in the dormitory yesterday, and her change made people unable to adapt. However, no one knew that Kana became like this because of Naruto. With a woman nourished by a man, it will become so different. Aren't you worried that the exam will be difficult to pass? I'll give you some courage. Naruto smiled and took her hand and led her to the mound. Kana tilted her head in confusion. By the way, how was your recovery yesterday? Is there still pain there? Naruto suddenly asked with concern halfway through. Kana's face turned Yuhi slightly, then she shook her head gently, and said movedly, "It doesn't hurt anymore, Naruto, you are so gentle." Naruto touched his nose. After a while, the two finally came to the side of the small mound, and Kana saw the figure of Gildas from a distance. She couldn't help but change her face and became a little embarrassed. "Naruto, this is..." Kana turned to look at him and asked. Naruto smiled lightly. "Kana, I have already told Gildas about you. He also knows that you are his daughter. Now he is very excited and wants to see you very much. Go over immediately and call him father, all right?" Kana was stunned for a moment, apparently overwhelmed by Naruto's sudden arrangement. At this time, it is hard to describe the feeling that she suddenly recognizes Gildas. However, she felt Naruto's encouraging gaze behind her. If she escaped here, she would definitely disappoint Naruto. He said that she was already his woman. As his woman, how could she be so cowardly? Thinking of this, Kana's heart involuntarily gave birth to a force and courage. She looked back at Naruto, and walked forward firmly. Seeing the determined look on her face, Naruto finally exhaled. "Kana, the only one who can help you is here. I hope you can untie your knot and perform more brilliantly in the exam."